Hi everyone, welcome back to our new tutorial. Hope you guys are doing well. So today in this tutorial we will be creating a Python project, and in this Python project we will be creating an application using Python completely from scratch. And if you are a beginner and want to get started with app development, then I hope this tutorial will be really beneficial for you. And if you are thinking that for creating an app for iOS or for our Android you need to learn C, C++, Objective-C, all of these languages, but let me tell you, for creating an app using Python you don't need to learn all of these languages. For creating an application using Python we will need only one Python module, which is Kavy. And if you don't know what is Kavy is, let me tell you. So here is the official website for our Kavy, and here you can see that Kavy is actually open source Python library for rapid development of applications that makes use of innovative user interface such as multi-touch apps. Okay, and here you can see that they are cross-platform, and we can use Kavy to run on Linux, Windows OS, and then Android, iOS, and Raspberry Pi also. So here you can see that if we learn Kavy, we don't need to learn all of these languages for iOS, for Android, and for other platforms. And in this tutorial, I will be talking about only Kavy, and we will create a simple application using Kavy. And if you are a beginner, then I will suggest you to don't skip any part of this video, because everything is important for you, and if you skip any part of this video then these things will be difficult for you to understand later. So that's why I will recommend you to stay connected as long as this video, and I hope you will learn something new from this tutorial. And in future I will be bringing more Python projects and more Python tutorials for you guys. And also guys, leave me a comment about your project. What are you doing now, what are you learning now, and what are the projects you want to see in my channel in future. And let me know in my comment section so that I can bring some tutorials, I can bring some projects, I can bring some new projects about that topic also. And I will really appreciate if you give me a suggestion, if you give me a feedback about this tutorial in my comment section. And guys, I want you to find all of my tutorials and all of my Python projects as soon as I upload in my channel. So that's why please subscribe this channel, like this video, and press the bell icon for the future videos. And guys, if you can break the subscribe button, destroy the subscribe button, because I need that. And if you guys have any question about this tutorial, about this project, you can comment below. So that's it guys, let's get started. Now first you have to open your favorite code editor, and then from here you have to create a new project. And for creating a new project I will be going to file, and from here I have to select new project, and then we have to give a project name. So I will be giving my project name as first app. That's it. And now in this project we have to create a Python file. So for creating a Python file we have to select the project name, we have to select the project folder, and then click write, and then new, and from here we have to select the Python file, and here I have to give a Python file name. So my Python file name will be new app.py. That's it. So here you can see that we have our Python file here. And now from here first we have to install our Kavy in our project. And the easiest way to install Kavy in my project, in our project, we have to go to our file, and from here we have to select the setting, and from this setting we have to go to our project. So select the project from here, and then go to our project interpreter, and here you can see that we have a list of all of the installed Python modules. And now we have to install another one, which is Kavy. So for installing the new module in our computer we have to select the plus sign from here, and here we have to type the name of the Python module we want to install. So mine is actually Kavy. So here you can see that we have the Kavy in the first selected, and I have already installed this in my computer. So I don't want to install this again, but you have to install this module in your computer. So for installing this in your computer, select the first one, and from here you have to click on this install package, and after a few minutes this module will be installed in your computer. So now in my file, first I have to import my kv, so that's why we have to write import, and then I want to import kv, that's it. And now we have to install some functions, we have to install some properties from kv so that we can use these modules, we can use these functions later on our code. And here you can see that we are creating an app, so that's why first we have to import the app module from our kv. So that's why I will be write from kv dot, so my module name will be app, that's it, and then import app. So after this app, now we have to import another function, we have to add another library from kv, and this will be grid layout, because using this grid layout we will be creating our structure of our app. So that's why we have to write from kv dot uix, because it's actually a design based, so that's why it will be uix, and then we have to write grid layout and import grid layout. So after this grid layout, now we have to write some things, we have to give a specific name for our different sections, for our different properties. So that's why we have to give some labels here so that users can find these labels and understand the importance of this label. So that's why I will be importing from kv, and then it will be also uix, so that's why uix, and then I will be importing label, and then it will be label, that's it. So after this label, now we have to import another module, and it will be text input, and this text input will be using so that user can type their information and we can get this information. So that's why I will be adding from kv dot, it will be also uix, and then it will be text input, and then it will be text input, that's it. I think we have imported all of our modules, but we have to import another thing, and it will be button, because we will need a button so that user can type some buttons also in our application. So that's why I will be adding from kv, and it will be also uix, and then now we have to add our button and then button, that's it. So guys, here you can see that we have successfully imported all of our modules from our kv. So for creating an application, we will be creating some classes, we will be creating some methods, and first I will create a class. So that's why we have to create a class, and then we have to give a class name. So actually inside this class I will be creating all of our app structure and all of our app function. So that's why it will be our child, because we have to run this child class into a parent class. So that's why I will give a name of this class, and the name of this class will be child app, that's it. And this child app will represent our grid layout, because we will be using our grid layout for creating our structure and other stuff. So after this grid layout, now we have to define a method. So that's why I will be adding diff, and now we have to give a initial, and this will be init, and by default it will be with self. Now I will add another argument here, and it will be a star star kw args. And what is this star star kw args? And if you don't know what is this kw args, I will tell you. This kw args will be used so that we can implement a lot of functions, we can implement a lot of arguments. So that's why this kw args used for to adding unlimited arguments. Okay, so that's why we are using kw args here. So after this one, now we have to add a super here, and inside this super, first we will be writing our class name, and the class name is child app, and this child app will represent our self also, and then we will write init. Now we have to define the structure of our app, we have to define the columns of our app. So for adding this one, now first we have to add our self here, and then we have to define our columns. And suppose I want to create a 2-column app, so that's why I'm using 2, but if you want you can give 3, 4, 5, 6, as many as you want, but for our initial stage it will be 2, and I will show you the difference of these numbers later, but now it will be 2. Then we have to call ourselves again, and then we have to add a widget here because level. Now we have to add our level so that users can understand what is this information, what we have to give their information here. So now level is a widget, so that's why I am using add widget, and here I will be adding a level here. So now we have to call the level, and this will be our first level, and now we have to type a text here for this level, so that's why it will be text. And the name of this text will be, suppose I am creating an app for student details, so now here we have to write a student name. Okay, first I will get the student name. So after this one, now we have to call ourselves again, and now we have to store the student name into a variable, so that's why I am adding a variable, and it will be as, it means student, and it will be name. Okay, so that we can store this student name into our this variable. So for storing the value, which means the student name, into this variable, user have to type their name. Okay, so for inputting, so for getting their information, I will be adding our text input here. That's it. Now user can actually type their name here into this text input, and then now we have to add these two functions. One is our text and one is our text input. So for doing this, we have to call our self again, and then we have to call our add widget, and our name, our student name, will be stored in our self dot as name here. That's it. So now here you can see that we have created one field here for our student name. Now I will create more so that user can type their student age and their blood group also, and we can add more functions, we can add more levels here. So for adding more levels and for adding more text input, I will be just copy this one from here and then paste it here. That's it. And now after our student name, I will be taking our student marks, so that's why it will be a student marks, and then I want this student marks to store in a different variable, so that's why it will be a student marks. And now we have to define this student marks here also, student marks. That's it. So after our student marks, I want to get the student gender also. So for adding this one, I will be copy this one again and then paste it here, and here it will be a student gender. And now I want this student gender to be stored in a different variable, and it will be a student gender here. And now we have to give this variable name here also. That's it. And for now I will be just adding these three labels here. One is our student name, our student marks, and our student gender. But if you want, you can add more, but for this tutorial I will be just adding these three. Now I have to run this application. I want to see these functions, this text input is working or not, these labels is working or not. So for doing this, we have to now define our parent class. So for creating our parent class, now we have to define a class, and now we have to give a class name. So our previous class name was child app. Now I want to give a parent app, so that's why it will be parent app. That's it. And here it will be represent our app because we are creating our app, so that's why it will be represent our from this app. So now we have to run this app, and now we have to check this app is working or not. So that's why we have to define a constructor here. We have to define a method, so that's why it will be defined, and then we have to build our app. So here it will be installed with ourselves. So now we have to return here something, and I will be return our child app, which is here, because our all functionalities is actually inside this child app. So that's why we have to give our child app here. We have to return our child app. That's it. So after this child app, now we have to make sure that this app is actually building, or this app is running inside our main function. So that's why it will be if, and it will be name here, and if our name equal to main. That's it. If our name is under in our main, we have to run this app. So that's why we have to define our parent class. We have to define our parent class here, and it will be parent app, and then we have to give a run function because I want to run this. So guys, here you can see that I think our work is done here, and now I want to see this sections is working or not. So now let's run this app. Click on this run and then run here, and then now we have to select the name of our file. And guys, here you can see that we have a UI representation here, we have a structure here, and here you can see that if I go to my code here you can see that now we have two columns here. One is this one and another one is this one. See, we have two columns here, but if you want three, so now let's change it to 3. And then now first we have to close this one, and then now we have to run this again. So here you can see that this is now taking 3 columns. Okay, and if you want give this more column, you can do that also, but I think 2 column is actually looking good, so that's why I will be giving column 2. Now let's run this one again, and here you can see that we have 2 columns, and here is our labels here, a student name, and now we have to type the student name here. That's it. Here you can see that now we have our text input section also. Now we have our another label here for our student marks, and now I will add our marks, which will be 78, and then we have to give our student gender also, and this student gender will be the female. Okay, so guys, here you can see that we have created our first app here. This was really crazy guys, and amazing also, because here you can see that in a few minutes we have created our first app. And if you are doing this for the first time, then I think this is amazing guys. So now I want to give some functionalities to this app, because whenever user will type their information here, I want to save this information in my backend in my this Python file. Like here in my terminal, I want to save these functions, I want to save these values from the user in the terminal here. So for adding these functionalities, we have to do one thing. We have to create some functions. We have to adding a button here also. Now here we have to create a button here, so that we can click on that button and the values will be saved, the values will be stored in our backend. So that's why we have to again call our self, and then we have to call, and then we have to take a variable. So the variable name will be press, because this will be a button, so that I am giving a meaningful variable name, so it will be press. And then we have to call our button, and then inside this button we have to give a text here, so that the user can understand that it is a button. And the button name will be, let's say, click me. That's it. And whenever our user will click on this button, I want to save the values from the user, so that's why we have to create a function here. So now we have to call our self again, and then I'm calling our press variable name, and then I have to bind this one. And now we have to create an event, because whenever people will click on this button, it means what is people are doing, people are clicking on this button. So that's why we have to create an event, and it will be on click. That's it. And then now we have to call ourselves, and then we have to create a function. But here I will just create a function name. I will be creating a new function name, and I will specify the works of this function in later of this code. So here I am just adding a name of this function. So the function name will be like our button name also, so it will be click underscore me. That's it. And now we have to add a widget here, so that's why it will be add widget, and then the add widget will be in our self dot press. That's it guys. So now here you can see that now we have created our button, and inside this button we have a function. Now we have to specify the works of this function. So for doing this, here we have to define the name of this function name, and the function name is actually click me here. So I will just copy this name from here and then paste it here. That's it. And this function will be work inside our self, and then I will give an instance also. So now I want to save the values. I want to save the student name, I want to save the student marks, I want to save the student gender here. So I will be printing these values in my backend, so that's why we have to add our print function. And here we have to write the sentence, so that I can understand, so that you guys can understand what is happening in our backend. So now I will be writing name of a student is, and the name of this student is actually stored in our, here you can see that we have a value, we have a variable, because the student name is stored in our this variable. So now we have to initialize this variable into our here also. So now here I will be giving a plus, and then we have to call our self dot as name, because the name is stored in our as name, and this is actually a text. That's it, guys. So now I will copy this one from here and I paste it 2 times. So our second one will be the marks, and this marks is actually stored in our as mark variable. Here you can see that, and then we have to print our student gender here, so that's why it will be gender, and this gender information is stored in our student gender variable. So after these 3 values printed, now I want a space, I want a new line so that we can find a gap here. So that's why I will be just printing a new line here. That's it. So now let's run this program and see our function, this function is working or not. So now let's run this program here, and here you can see that we have our app here, and then we have a button also, click me. And now I want you to focus on the input section and this button and this terminal. Let me increase the font size of this terminal so that you guys can see the values. And now here I will type our student name, and it will be tag 2 etc. And then we have to give a student marks, and it will be 80, and then a student gender will be male. That's it. Now if I click on this click me button, I want these values to be stored in our, to be showing in our this terminal. Now let's click on this click me button, and guys, here you can see that nothing is happening. I think we have an error in our code here. Okay guys, here you can see that our function is not working, because it will be on press, okay, not click, it will be on press, so that's why it will be press. That's it. Now let's run this program again, and let's increase the font size. And guys, first I will give a name, and the name will be tag 2 etc, and the values will be 80, and the gender will be male. And now if I click on this click me button, let's see what happens. Here you can see that I have our values here. Name of this student is tag 2 etc, and the marks of the student is 80, and the gender of this student is male. So guys, here you can see that we gave values here, and these values is now stored in our terminal. Now let's change these values, and it will be please subscribe my. So this is not a name guys, this is just a request for you. Please guys, subscribe this channel for more tutorial and for inspiring me, so that I can bring a lot of projects like this one. So that's why please subscribe this channel, like this video, and press the bell icon for the future videos. And now let's change the values of these marks also, and it will be 55, and this will be female. Now let's click on this click me. Here you can see that we have our new values. The name of this student is please subscribe my channel, and the marks of this student is 55, and the gender of this student is female. Okay, if any user leave all of this field empty, now let's see what will happen. So this field will be empty, this field will be empty, and this field will be also empty. Now if I click on this button, and here you can see that we have no values inside these variables, inside these sections here. So guys, here you can see that we have created our first application, we have created our first app without using any other languages. We just used a Python module, which is Kavy. And guys, this is just a beginner level app using Kavy in Python, and in future I will definitely bring some advanced tutorial on Kavy, and I want to show you guys a different level of applications, different level of app development using Python, using Kavy and other Python modules. And if you are a beginner, then I hope you will be enjoying this tutorial, and I hope you have learned something new from this tutorial. And that's it guys, hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you really do, then please press subscribe, break this subscribe button, destroy this subscribe button, give a like to this video, and press the bell icon for the future videos. And if you guys have any question about this video, please leave a comment, and also please tell me what are you learning now, what kind of projects you are doing now, so that I can bring a project, I can bring some tutorials on that topic also. So that's it guys, let's see you in our next tutorial.